The stock market is officially in full-on let's go Brandon mode. It has seen a monster move over the last month or so. We had a major sell-off, one of the biggest sell-offs that we've seen in a long time during the Afghanistan withdrawal. It put a stall on whatever Joe Biden was planning to get done from a legislative standpoint. Why is that a good thing for the stock market? We're going to be breaking it all down in today's video, so you're going to want to stay tuned. Ooh, what's good on my stock market and crypto freaks? It's your boy Kevin. Welcome back to the channel. The stock market is going absolutely insane after the infrastructure bill finally got passed. So we're going to be examining what exactly is in the infrastructure bill and why the stock market is exploding and how we can make some money from this monster move. So you're going to want to stick around for this one. So we had the last sell-off in the overall market way back in September, all the way through September into October in this general area right here. We hit highs in the S&P of around 454 on the SPYs and sold off all the way down to 426. A pretty significant sell-off. We haven't seen one that big in a while. So we sold off all through September, and that was largely due to the fact that it was looking like the infrastructure bill was not going to get passed. And if it was going to get passed, it was going to take a lot of work in order to do so. It was going to take both parties, Democrats and Republicans, coming together and working on that. And at the time, that seemed like a long shot. However, the Afghanistan withdrawal, it was ugly, it was a mess, and it kind of put a roadblock in the way of whatever Joe Biden wanted to do from a legislation standpoint, because it gave him less footing to stand on. He lost a lot of political capital over the Afghanistan withdrawal. There's no argument. That's not my opinion. That's a fact. He lost political footing during that withdrawal process. So we get through the Afghanistan withdrawal, and Biden is losing steam politically. A lot of smart investors and traders were calling crash down here. It was looking uglier and uglier. The economy was staggering. Inflation was running rampant. And a lot of smart people were calling crash. The exact opposite happened, though. We hit a bottom, and we immediately rebounded, made new all-time highs, and we're pretty much sitting on the moon right now. So what the hell happened? Well, I'm calling this the let's go Brandon move. If you're unfamiliar with the saying let's go Brandon, it's basically an inside joke to say F Joe Biden. There was a NASCAR race. The crowd was chanting.
As you can hear the chants from the crowd. Let's go, Brandon.
F Joe Biden. It was heard on national television, and the reporter interviewing the NASCAR driver who won the race said the crowd was chanting, let's go Brandon. So now if you ever hear somebody say, let's go Brandon, they're basically saying F Joe Biden. The stock market hates uncertainty, doesn't like uncertainty, and it doesn't like crazy spending. It doesn't like crazy inflation. So the stock market knows that if Joe Biden is losing political footing and he has to go to the table with the Republicans and they have to negotiate on whatever gets passed because the Democrat majority is razor thin, that there is going to be bipartisan bills that are probably passed. And we saw that come to fruition with the infrastructure bill. So the Democrats and Republicans are having to work together, and the stock market absolutely loves it. And just for you big Joe Biden supporters, this is not my opinion, right? Joe Biden's job approval ratings have been absolutely tanking from back at 54% of approval. Now he's at like sub 40% approval. And those numbers have been steadily dropping. The Democrats were once in a place where they said, we're not going to pass this real infrastructure bill unless you pass the $3.5 trillion hoopla bill. Well, now they're no longer in that position, so they had to come to the table, and we finally got the real infrastructure bill passed. So what is in this infrastructure bill that is headed to the president's desk in order to be signed and to put in the law? So the bill finally got through the House with a 228 to 206 vote, and will provide $110 billion to repair bridges and highways, 173,000 total miles, or nearly 280,000 kilometers of America's highways and major roads, and 45,000 bridges are in poor condition, and almost $40 billion for bridges is the single largest dedicated bridge investment since the construction of the national highway system. So we're going to see a ton of money go to roads and bridges. We have public transit, $39 billion for public transit, and the legislation would expand transportation systems, improve accessibility for people with disabilities, and provide dollars to state and local governments to buy zero-emission and low-emission buses. So we're going to see a ton of money going to public transportation and public transportation low carbon emissions. We're talking about EV public transportation. We're going to look at a EV bus stock in just a second that I do think has some potential and is trading at a really nice valuation. So stay tuned till the end and we'll look at those stocks that I think could benefit from this infrastructure bill. Passenger and freight rail. To reduce Amtrak's maintenance backlog, which keeps getting worse and worse, the bill is going to provide $66 billion to improve the rail service Northeast Corridor as well as other routes. All right, now we're getting to the part of the bill that everybody was waiting for, electric vehicles. The bill is going to spend $7.5 billion for electric vehicles charging stations, which the administration says are critical to accelerating the use of electric vehicles to curb climate change. This is much smaller than the amount initially stated in that first infrastructure bill that was proposed. Still, it's good to see $7.5 billion going to the EV charging network. Consumers are not going to buy an EV vehicle until they feel comfortable that they have enough access to these EV charging stations. If you have a 20-minute drive to work, you're going to want to know that there's an EV charging station close by your job in case you need to charge it up. So more and more EV charging stations, that is going to result in more consumers feeling comfortable enough to make the purchase of an EV vehicle. We're starting to see work trucks hit the market that are EV and that are functionable, not 100-mile range work trucks like we have seen some companies put out, but like the Ford Lightning. A construction worker may want to buy the Ford Lightning, but they're going to want to know they have enough EV charging stations around their potential job sites that if they need to charge up, they can do so. So $7.5 billion, this is going to help EV stocks, the EV sector, and we're going to look at a couple of those stocks that I think are criminally underpriced. They're cheap. They're good deals. Internet access. We have $65 billion going to broadband internet access, which would aim to improve internet services for rural areas, low-income families, and tribal communities. My parents just bought a house in a somewhat rural area, and they don't have good internet. They don't have broadband internet access. The whole community doesn't. They live on a lake in middle Georgia. It's not a particularly super rural area. It isn't a big city, but it's not crazy rural. And they have to use this piece of crap dish internet service that goes in and out every other day. So there are kids out there who do not have internet access, and that is a crime. I know personally that I've learned 100 times more from browsing the internet, watching YouTube videos, doing research online than I did going to any school or college. So the fact that there's kids out there who don't have internet access is a problem, and there's $65 billion going towards broadband internet access. There's a lot of good stuff in this bill, and that shows us what can happen when the government comes together, works together, left and right. They stop the political BS and put out good bills. The stock market never lies. It's never told a lie in its history. You put it on the lie detector test, and 100% of the time, it's telling the truth. And the stock market is telling us that it likes this bill. It's reacting favorably to the bill and telling us that there's a lot of good things in the bill that could potentially help this economy and jumpstart this economy. You have billions and billions and billions of dollars going to infrastructure. It's going to result in jobs. It's going to result in the economy getting stimulated. Paid for. Talking about $1 trillion with a T, that's a lot of money. Well, number one, there's going to be a crypto tax. And all I have to say on that front in this video is good luck trying to find out who owes you money on crypto returns, because the whole point of it is to be anonymous and not have the government spying on you. So good luck trying to tax the crypto returns, but also $210 billion of unspent Rona money is going to this bill, $53 billion in unemployment insurance aid that was never given out will also be funding the bill, along with a lot of other smaller pots of money. One of the stocks that I think could be a big benefactor from this bill is Proterra. The EV bus manufacturer and big battery manufacturer, Proterra. We know that Jennifer Granholm, the Secretary of Energy, sat on the board of Proterra. They are going to be a benefactor. They have an early mover advantage in the EV bus space. They are a big-time manufacturer of batteries. They are a real player in the future of EV public transportation and EV mass transit. So I think Proterra is underpriced. It is too cheap. We're currently trading in the $12.50 area right down here. We hit highs a while back of more than $30 a share. So that is more than a 2x move just back to those all-time highs, those recent highs where we were trading back in January, February, and we since have sold off considerably, giving back the majority of any upside that was reached. So Proterra, I think it is going to be one of the big winners from this bill, and today we're up a good bit, but we're still way off the highs, and there's still a lot of upside potential here with PTRA. Chargepoint as well. Chargepoint, the biggest EV charging network in the US, Chargepoint, it is sold off the highs, as well as the EV sector has pretty much all sold off except for Tesla. Tesla's been a beast. The rest of the EV stocks have sold off a lot. I'm going to do a separate video on the EV sector as a whole, but ChargePoint is another benefactor of this bill, up pretty good on the day as well. We have highs back in December of 2020 of $48, almost $50 a share. Sold off. Right now we're trading at $27. So another almost 2x move back towards those highs. So we have a couple of EV stocks with really nice upside potential and potential returns. But the EV sector has been weak. It's going to take buyers coming back into it in order for this thing to really get moving. We're looking at the RSI, and we are extended on the RSI here with ChargePoint. So what I'm going to probably do is wait for the RSI to come back down a little bit to reality, maybe this 50 range, or if you're feeling frisky, you can wait for a more significant pullback, because we have rallied from 18 back up to 27, which is a big move. Even though we're still off the highs, we have rallied over the last week and a half. ChargePoint is going to be a winner, in my opinion, long term, as is Proterra. I just want to wrap up the video by saying I'm not hating on Democrats. I'm not hating on Republicans. What I'm saying is I think it's good when one party doesn't have all the power, they don't have all the cards in their hand, and they have to come to the table and negotiate with the other side. And I think the stock market likes that as well, because you don't have that uncertainty. Nothing is just going to be pushed through. It's going to take both parties coming together and getting bills passed. And I think we're seeing the stock market say just that. As the last week, 2 weeks, it's been absolutely insane and has gone straight up. If you want to get some free money, $2,000, up to $2,000 of free money, check out the link in the description to Webull. It's the broker I use every day. Free commissions, and they're going to give you some free money. Link in the description. I love all of you guys, and I'll catch you in the next video. Until next time, deuces.